Jack Karlson, the man who immortalized the phrase "This is democracy manifest" in what has been described as Australia's preeminent meme, has died aged 82. Karlson, although there are debates as to whether this was his real name or one of many aliases, was a serial prison escaper and small-time crook who shot to fame in 2009 after a news clip of his arrest at a Chinese restaurant in Brisbane's Fortitude Valley in 1991 was uploaded to the internet. What is the charge? Eating a meal. A succulent Chinese meal Karlson theatrically boomed as his bear-like frame resisted a string of police officers. Chris Reason, the Channel 7 journalist who reported Karlson's arrest 33 years ago, paid tribute to Karlson on social media site X, tweeting that Mr. Democracy Manifest has died. Karlson died surrounded by family at 6:31 p.m. on Wednesday. He walked a full and colorful path and, despite the troubles thrown at him, he lived by his motto to keep on laughing, his family said in a statement. Niece Kim Edwards said Karlson spent the last few weeks of his life in hospital, where he had a few attempts to escape and pulled his cords out a couple of times and asked us many times to sneak in his pipe. Edwards said her uncle was battling many ailments, but what got him in the end was systemic inflammatory response syndrome. As a final send-off, we gave Uncle a last taste of red wine through his drip just before it was removed, she said. Karlson died the day after his 82nd birthday, or at least it was the most recent of the birthdays he claimed to filmmaker Heath Davis, who is making a documentary on Karlson's life. This is the legit one, Davis said, or so I'm told. Davis said he also learned the most recent alias Karlson, who he believes was really Cecil George Edwards, was going by in the last years of his life. And though he is not currently at liberty to reveal it, Davis said it was not Jack Karlson. Let's just say John Davis said. The filmmaker is expecting huge amounts of other information about Karlson's life will be revealed after his death. And it won't just be about names and dates. He and authors including Mark Dapin had already uncovered stories of Karlson's prison escapes that are said to include picking the lock, cuffing him to a sleeping officer, and leaping from a moving train and swimming off a prison island before being rescued by a benevolent fisher. But Karlson's life was far from just a rollick. His boyhood was spent in institutions rife with sexual predators and bullies, and his varied stints in Australia's most notorious jails included time in the Black Peter, solitary confinement of Boggle Road Jail, the cruelty of which was medieval when he was still a teenager. A regular person who experienced his life would have passed away years ago, Davis said. But Jack just had this zest for life that made you go, this guy's made of mercury. He might just live forever. Among old friends and foes reunited with Karlson in the making of Davis' documentary was Stoll Watt, a senior sergeant in the then Special Weapons and Operations Squad who happened to be driving through the valley on the now famous day in 1991 when the call came through for support in an arrest. Watt said there are many different versions of what occurred that day. His own is detailed in a yet-to-be-published book. One thing Watt does not deny, though, is Karlson's charisma. He was some sort of trained actor, he learned that in prison, but he was also a natural showman, Watt said. He bluffed his way out of a court in Sydney, said he was a detective, and to do that he must have been a very confident showman, and a bit of a con man as well. Among Karlson's cons, Watt said, was the now infamous line Karlson's roared during the arrest when he declared, "Get your hands off my penis." All it was I was assisting him out of the restaurant and there was a step and he tripped a little bit, and to help him up, my hand grabbed him lower down on the thigh, Watt said. He said, I grabbed him by the thing, but I was nowhere near it. Still, Watt bears Karlson no ill will and enjoyed meeting him once again last year at Karlson's hideout near Esk, somewhere in the mountains of southeast Queensland. He said to me that I was the only copper he never hated, Watt said. He called me comrade and he said, come up and spend the night with me and we'll have a few, he calls it the juice of the red grapes. Karlson was a very good wordsmith, Watt said. Adding the man he once arrested would have been a millionaire had he been able to trademark the phrases he coined that have now entered the modern Australian lexicon. Yet it is through these words that Jack Karlson or Cecil George Edwards or John X will live in posterity. Though Davis said the subject of his film, For All His Sins, hardly a tech-savvy man, was for a long time naive to his online renown and perhaps never fully appreciated it, he is folklore and doesn't even know it, Davis said. As Karlson lay surrounded by his family in his final moments, he reportedly whispered his last words, true to his theatrical nature, remember, it's all just a succulent journey. Laugh, love, and never stop the fight for your own democracy manifest.